You know, every single day, thousands of enormous ships carrying literally billions of dollars in cargo are navigating the world's busiest waterways. And if you look at a map, it just looks like chaos. But it's not. It's actually a carefully conducted symphony, and it's directed by an unseen hand and a mostly unheard voice. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden world of maritime traffic control and explore the unseen rules that keep our oceans safe. So, welcome to the Nerve Center. This is a Vessel Traffic Services Control Room, or VTS for short. And you know, you can forget air traffic control for a minute. This is the maritime equivalent. It's this super high-tech, high-stakes environment where operators are just juggling radar screens, radio calls, and making split-second decisions to guide these colossal ships through really crowded channels. The safety of the crew, the cargo, and the marine environment, it all rests on their shoulders. You hear that? That is the voice of VTS. It's calm, it's clear, and it is direct. And trust me, that's not a suggestion, it's a command. A single radio transmission like that can completely alter the course of a vessel that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But what gives it that power? Right, that's the core question we're really digging into here. What gives that one voice so much authority? It's not just some person in a chair with a radio. It's the final crucial link in this really complex chain of international law, rigorous training, and just immense responsibility. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to peel back these layers of authority one by one. We'll start with the voice on the radio, then look at the global rulebook that backs it up. We'll see how those rules get applied locally, understand the critical human team involved, and then finally, we'll look at what happens when it all goes wrong. So where does that operator's immediate authority even come from? Well, it's actually derived from the three critical services they provide to every single ship in their area. Basically, their authority is earned through their function. The International Maritime Organization. They break VTS down into three core services, providing information, organizing traffic, and offering navigational assistance. Let's take a quick look at each one. Okay, first up, the Information Service. Think of VTS as the eyes and ears of the entire waterway. They're feeding critical data right to a ship's bridge. So, for example, VTS in Singapore might warn a vessel that dredging operations have restricted the depth in a certain channel. Now, this isn't just helpful trivia. This is absolutely essential intel that can prevent a massive ship from running aground. Second is the Traffic Organization Service, and this is what we heard in that opening radio call, right? VTS is managing the flow of ships to prevent bottlenecks and, of course, collisions. Telling the MV Seahawk to hold is a strategic move. It makes sure a massive, less maneuverable tanker can get through that narrow channel safely. It's all about seeing the bigger picture that no single ship can see from its own bridge. And third, there's navigational assistance. Here, VTS is basically acting as a co-pilot from shore. If a ship starts to drift off a safe track, VTS is going to get right on the radio and alert them. It's an essential backstop, an extra set of expert eyes making sure a simple mistake doesn't turn into a total disaster. Now, these services, they don't just exist in a vacuum. Nope. They are built on a really powerful foundation of international law. So let's explore the global rulebook that governs every single VTS center on the planet. So meet the global team behind VTS. You've got the IMO, a UN agency, setting the high-level laws. The ITU allocates the specific VHF radio channels so everyone's on the right frequency. And then there's IALA, which is the key technical body. They're the ones who literally write the operator's training manual. Together, they create one consistent, reliable system that works the same way all over the world. Okay, this right here is the crucial point. If you are looking for the single line of text that gives a country the right to tell ships what to do in its waters, this is it. The SOLAS Convention. That stands for the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea. It is the legal bedrock for all vessel traffic services. It's what gives coastal states the authority to set up these VTS systems in the first place. And that authority is placed in very professional hands. The voice you hear on the radio isn't just some intern, right? Thanks to IALA's standards, every certified VTS operator has gone through at least 120 hours of intense theoretical training, not to mention simulation and on-the-job work. Professionalism is baked right into the system. Okay, so we've got these global laws and standards. But how do they actually work in, say, the Port of Rotterdam or the Singapore Strait? Let's trace how this all trickles down from international agreement to day-to-day operations. It's really like a cascade of authority. It all starts with the IMO's global framework. Then a country like the UK passes its own national law, the Merchant Shipping Act, to implement it. Under that law, a specific port, like the Port of Rotterdam, creates its own detailed regulations. And finally, those are translated into specific harbor bylaws that tell a ship exactly where to report and what to do. And get this. That authority actually changes depending on how far a ship is from the coast. Within 12 nautical miles, in what's called the territorial sea, a country has full sovereignty. VTS instructions there can be totally mandatory. But further out, in the exclusive economic zone, its authority is a lot more limited, and it's often focused on things like preventing pollution. So geography really dictates the law of the sea. Okay, now we get to what I think is the most important part, the people. Because all these laws and all this technology, they're just tools. They exist to facilitate clear communication and coordination between three key individuals: the ship's master, the marine pilot, and the VTS operator. On board the ship itself, these two roles are absolutely key. You have the master, or the captain, who has the ultimate, final responsibility for the vessel. Then you have the marine pilot, who is a local expert brought on board to advise the master on the specific tides, currents, and channels of that port. So the pilot advises, but the master commands. And this table really shows you the whole human team. The master is in command of their ship. The pilot provides that expert advice on how to handle it in local waters. And VTS provides the strategic, shoreside overview of the entire traffic situation. It's a triangle of communication, this constant flow of information and coordination between these three roles, all focused on just one thing: a safe passage. But what happens when that communication, that coordination, or that interaction fails? What happens when rules are broken or mistakes are made? Well, the consequences can be catastrophic, and the question of who is responsible becomes absolutely paramount. Yeah, when a disaster happens at sea, figuring out who's at fault is never simple. It's not about just blaming one person. It's this incredibly complex legal process to understand how the entire system failed and who ultimately bears the liability for the damages. And the liability can be really, really severe. A VTS authority could face civil liability. We're talking being sued for millions if incorrect information leads to a grounding. An operator could face administrative liability, like getting fired for not following communication protocols. And in the most extreme cases, like somebody deliberately disabling equipment, a supervisor could actually face criminal charges. The stakes just could not be higher. This is exactly why meticulous record keeping is completely non-negotiable. Every radio call, every radar track, every data entry is recorded and stored. This creates an objective, verifiable record of exactly what happened. It's the ultimate tool for accountability, and it ensures that when things do go wrong, the facts can lead the way to learning and preventing it from happening again. And that brings us to our final thought. We've just explored a system that is built entirely around this intricate chain of human communication, coordination, and authority. So what happens when we start removing the humans from the ships themselves? As automation and autonomy start to enter the maritime world, will this carefully balanced playbook become obsolete? Or will it just have to be completely rewritten for a new era of navigation?